All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. How's it going? Happy Friday. I hope you're doing well. If you want to support this channel, there will be a working Patreon link in the description. I thought I said it where you could only do $5, but people have just been doing whatever they want. $1. Donna did $20. Unbelievable. Thank you, Donna. So someone was saying you should set it so people can do $1. They can. So if you want to do $1, that's cool. Thank you for everybody that signed up yesterday. It really made my day watching all those come in. So thank you. If you want to support the channel, link is in the description. All right. So very interesting news, people. Very surprising news, in my opinion. Also, people that are following this channel, Stephanie Lazarus commentary is going to be pushed till next week, like Monday, Tuesday, because I wanted to talk about this. So yesterday, a story broke in all the major papers that there is a new Chris Watts interview / confession that's coming out next week on March 7th. And this was really surprising to me for a few different reasons. One, you can see on the visitation chart for Chris Watts at the Dodge prison in Wisconsin that Grahm and Tammy and then a local cop from Frederick came and met with him a little over a week ago on February 18th. So the whole band's back together. Grahm and Tammy and old Chrissy Poo are back. And the papers covered it. And I couldn't help when I read all the articles for the paper just thinking, no wonder all of our true crime YouTube channels go good. These major papers, they really don't know how to cover a story like this. They were like, yeah, local and federal and state investigators went out and talked to him, and a new interview will be released on March 7th, and this is what Ronnie said. And it's like, that's it? That's all you're going to give the people? Everyone's been obsessed with this. And, all right, so this is what I think is interesting. I've never heard of a post-sentencing visit from the investigators that worked on the case. I've never heard that. Maybe it's very common. I don't know. If someone has heard of that or it is common, let me know in the comments. But think about it. This case has been over. He was sentenced in November. And so, 3-4 months. And now the investigators are going back to talk to him. And I think some of the reasons I thought maybe they're going back is they just know the public is still fascinated and they want closure. Or maybe Tammy and Grahm just want closure for themselves. I was thinking last night, I was laughing to myself that maybe Tammy and Grahm just haven't been able to get over it. And by now they've both left their families and they're living in a motel on Colfax, and Grahm is just staring out the window, rocking back and forth, going, "You're going to tell the truth because you're a truth teller. Because you're a truth teller. You're going to tell the truth." And Tammy's in the corner shaking, going, Why did I ask him if Shanann hurt the kids? I didn't know he was going to go with it. I was just trying to get him to talk. I didn't know he was going to go with it. I didn't know he was going to stick to it. Why did I do that? And they've just gone crazy, and there's like pictures of Chris all over the walls with like yarn connecting them with something like that. All right, so why would they go talk to him? Maybe just for closure, maybe for like to do a study on lizards that murder their family to try to have a new life. Because another one of these is coming. That's what's so wild, is whether it's 5 years or 10 years, but another Chris Watts, Scott Peterson case is right around the corner. It just takes the perfect storm of a lizard personality with getting a mistress and then just being like, maybe I could get away with this. All right. And then also, too, what kind of questions that came up are why does Chris want to talk now? I mean, he has like 9,000 years in prison. And so, I mean, is he getting incentivized? Like, if you come clean and tell us everything, we'll make your time in jail or in prison better. I don't know if they can do that, you know? It's like, here's another wool blanket and a pillow if you tell us, or here's an extra Twinkie. Maybe he's just lonely. I think that he sat a lot of the 3 months, I think he sat just by himself. I think on the 411 Now True Crime channel that he's now out in more of like general population. 411 Now, that channel does I really like what he does, how he finds information on Chris in prison. I don't know how he does that, so that's pretty cool. So I was thinking last night, like, what would make Chris talk? I mean, didn't he talk enough up there being like, if they're not safe and someone has them, then like, I just want them to be safe. I just want them to come home. It's like after you get on TV doing that, you'd think you would be like, you know what, I'm going to just sit in this cell for a while. And he did. So maybe he's just lonely and just I think a lot of convicts, after they sit in their cell for days and days and days with nothing really happening, having a couple detectives come and be interested in them and wanted to ask questions, that really will break up a shitty prison day. And so maybe he's lonely and that's why he's talking and wants to talk more. Maybe he wants attention. You know, if you're going to spend the next 9,000 years in prison being famous and getting the letters and kind of keeping your story out there might be something he wants to do, although it doesn't seem like Chris is too much into that, but, you know, I could be wrong. And then I guess the fourth reason I think maybe why he wants to talk now is just, like, make some sort of amends with himself or with the God that he's going with right now, or, you know, so yeah, it's interesting to me why he wouldn't agree to just tell him 3 months ago, but now he's ready to spill. You know, maybe those months in prison changed him a little bit. And then they also said in one of the articles I was reading about the interview that's being released is, so they're going to release a text version and a audio recording of it. And it said that the audio recording, I think both are edited, so we're not going to get the whole thing. So I'm just hoping it's not too heavily edited, and they give us the good stuff. I guess, too, I'm just really curious that how Chris is going to sound. Because we just saw him literally just talking out of his ass. Scared to death, talking out of his ass, taking a poop in the sunflowers. That's another scene that I want to add to the movie, is just him. It's like the camera's showing like the tops of these beautiful sunflowers. Like, sunflowers are really tall and they have those big, you know, and it's just like the camera's like zooming around these beautiful, up high, like the beautiful sunflowers, and then it just slowly pans all the way down, and Chris is just taking a stress poop. So it'll be interesting to hear how he sounds in this interview, because he, you know, we saw him in just panic mode the whole time, just like they're not safe, you know, and it's going to be really interesting because he just doesn't have anything to lose at this point. And So is he going to not say like 100 times because he's telling, supposedly telling the truth now? Is he going to sound like a different person? Is he going to sound broken from just sitting by himself and reading the Bible? Is he going to sound remorseful? I don't know. I am dying to hear, though. It's going to be so interesting. I'm really curious, too, of the vibe between Chris, Tammy, and Grahm. Because they've been through a lot together. And so is it going to have like some camaraderie? Like, we've been to hell and back, or I don't know, it's interesting because it's like Tammy's like, "Hey Chris, like, good to see you. Sorry that polygraph that I did on you caused you to get 9,000 years in prison, but listen, let's talk again." Also, too, just there's the power dynamic between them. You got to think is going to shift. Because when they were interrogating him, they knew that he had to pretend to be the concerned father. And they were definitely using that against him in the sense of being like, "Chris, can we go over this one more time?" And he's like, "Yeah." Because if he's like, "No, I'm not going over this anymore," they're like, "Well, that's not what a concerned father would do, Chris. It's not what a concerned father would do. So can we answer? Can we ask some tough questions? Can we?" And they kind of were able to just beat him up a little bit. Like, "Can we do this again? Can we ask you?" But Chris has literally nothing to lose at this point. So it'll be interesting to... I think he's kind of not very assertive, so he might still just kind of be able to be beat up by them. But a lot of prisoners that are interviewed after they've been in jail a while, they almost end up with the power in the interview because they're sitting there thinking, "You want to interview me? I don't give a shit. I have to spend the next 9 million years in the concrete shitbox. So you're not going to come and ask me some question that I don't want an answer. Because either way, in 30 minutes, I'm going back to the shitbox forever." So it'll be really interesting if Tammy and Grahm almost have to treat him more as a, not friend, but just not as someone. He's already guilty. So he's not trying to pretend that he's this nice guy that would never murder his whole family. It's going to be interesting. I'm really curious of just how he sounds, his vocal timing, because we just saw him, like I said, just lying his ass off. Also, too, I'm wondering, does Chris know just how huge this case got? Just worldwide. I saw it in the picture that the interview is coming out next week. I saw the story in the New York Post. So even like papers out here, most of the murder, they didn't really cover it out here in New York City. All right, and then the last kind of weird parts of all the stories that came out yesterday was ABC ended up getting a interview with Ronnie, and he said some strange stuff. And up to this point, I haven't really had anything bad to say about Ronnie, but reading what he said in this interview, I had the feeling of like, I don't blame you for thinking that, Ronnie. And a dad and a mom are always going to love their kid, and they're always going to stand behind them, even when it's just delusional. But you don't do interviews. I was having the feeling reading what he was saying, being like, does he not have a close friend or a lawyer that's like, Ronnie, shut your mouth, okay? Go inside, think whatever you want about Chris, but no one's trying to hear you talk about it. No one wants to hear you say it. So ABC gets a hold of Ronnie somehow, and Ronnie says that Chris didn't tell him any details of this recent interview with Grahm and Tammy. He didn't tell him any details, but Ronnie says he knows in his heart that he didn't hurt those kids. And, you know, just goes back to Ronnie, just go inside, man. No one wants to hear this. And then he said that Chris calls him every night. So Chris calls old daddy every night. That's part of his routine. And they talk. And Ronnie said that he knows the Bible inside and out. So there's a very good chance we're going to get like Bible Chris, where he's just, you know, talking about his new forgiveness and giving us a lot of Bible verses and stuff. It's going to be interesting to hear Chris ramble about the Bible, if that's what it is. And then Ronnie said that the case is over and done with, and he doesn't understand why they want to go see him. And it's like, well, Ronnie, the whole world is curious why he murdered his family. We're still wondering, buddy. And so I'm glad that it's all over and done with, but we would still like to know. And also, your whole family has a lizard face. Let's see. I'm real interested how long that the whole interview was. Was it another like 6-hour thing? I wonder kind of what the quality is. If Chris really just spills the beans and says everything straight true, I'm going to be really surprised, because I think Chris's personality, whatever you want to call it, socio or whatever he is, I think lying is just the default. He wouldn't know how to tell the truth if, you know, I don't even know. I don't even know. If it's just lying again, if he's just still up there, like, honestly, like, I don't even know what, it's just going to be insane. It's going to go down as one of the craziest just liars of all time. I'm interested in seeing if they ask him how he's doing in prison, if he's been broken, if he's settling in. And, yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting, people. I was very surprised that, like I said, that this news popped up yesterday. I didn't think we would hear from Chris for 10 years. I really didn't. I thought that maybe they would do like a documentary about him in 10 years, and that would be. But Grahm, Tammy, and Chris are back together. The band is back together, and next week we will see what happens. We'll see what he says. So, like I said, if you want to support this channel, Patreon link in the description. To everybody that supported yesterday and signed up, thank you so much. To everybody that subscribed, thank you so much. To everybody that participates in the comment section, thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend. True Crime Loser out. Stiven.